Welcome to the Prevail Over Cancer Podcast, where we take a metabolic approach to help guide you on preventing, prevailing, and striving over cancer.
We are live on the Prevail Over Cancer Podcast. Keith Bishop, my co-host. I'm Jeff Lopes. Excited about another episode. This is episode number 17. So we're creeping up to number 20 pretty quickly. And
yes,
God, the feedback's been amazing, Keith. I mean,
yes,
it's on a regular basis, on a daily basis. We're getting feedback. We're getting more followers. Our numbers are growing. Like, this is amazing. We're doing a lot of good things. Today's subject is something where I've played around with for years and years, on and off. Once I got diagnosed, it became a daily thing. 7 days a week. It's a must in my lifestyle, and it's fasting. And mine's is intermediate fasting. There are people we're going to talk about. There's people that do the full fasting, which is 2 days, 3 days. I do intermediate fasting. I try to have my last meal around 7 to 7:30, sometimes 8 o'clock at night. And my next meal will be the next day, usually between 12 to 1. So I go with that 17, 18-hour window. I do it 7 days a week. It is a non-negotiable in my lifestyle. And I love the benefit. I feel great. I feel energetic. When it comes time to actually eating, I fathom, like, I'm hungry, I want to eat. So it's so many other benefits to it. Where is your mindset? And this is something I've seen, I know you do on a regular basis.
Definitely. Yeah.
When did you start actually researching as a scientist? When did you start researching and learning more about it?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because I was wanting to say that and go into that. So it was it was actually a gradual type thing for me many years ago. So actually about 2001 or so, when I was actually just kind of getting started doing the natural things. I had a natural practice, and I was I had a kind of like a health food section or supplements up, kind of in a front area. I had office back toward the back and of the business. And but our church actually was, our pastor was actually suggesting that we do some fasting for Christian purposes. And matter of fact, actually, he even got a little pushback about that. And fast, that's what other religions do.
Yes.
And so he has a little book that he gave us, and it's about a Christian Jesus fast. And the Bible actually says, we are to fast, and this is the way you do it. And Jesus fasted. And so that was kind of like an eye-opening experience. Let me tell you, it was hard. And actually the fast was actually just like skipping breakfast for a few hours, delaying it. And, it was such a mindset, because for 50 years, I didn't fast and had never done that, had never heard that, had never practiced that. And at first it was very difficult for me, because I was used to eating cereals and toast and jellies and preserves and juices and things like that. And so it actually was a very difficult progression at first for me. And so typically, even to this day, when I fast, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock a.m., so now that's at about 14 hours, that's when I'm really getting hungry.
You do, huh? Your body's still not used to it.
And so, I do good now, but I'm actually a little hungry. So I spend my mornings in appointments, and I'm talking about food to people. And so it's like, we're talking about what to eat and things like that. And so now I'm starting to get hungry. And actually right now I'm fasting. I'm not hungry. I do have my coffee. I saw you just took a sip. So I got my coffee. Actually, a new thing I'm doing, I'm adding actually a mint leaf in it. A little variety. Yeah. It's kind of a neat little thing. So I had a little mint leaf in that. And, but I still do get just a little bit hungry. But at the beginning, it was kind of a challenge. But our goal was, and I did work up to like a 24-hour fast, which was like, that was quite a big thing. Now I will and have done 3-day fasts. Once I get past 16 hours.
Let's talk about that. So when's the last time you did that?
Probably about 3 months ago.
It was. See, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. And so I just did a 3-day fast. And so part of it is going to be for spiritual purposes. And so, and actually what our pastor was teaching us is that, when you have that hungry pain, that just take that moment, that instant, and that's a time to reflect, to pray, whatever, that person is needing to do. But, in this case, we're doing a Christian biblical fast, and to pray, and use that. And so I will do that occasionally. And part of it is, for a spiritual reason, a physical benefit. And then even what I talk to my clients about, I do it too. And so
practice what you preach.
Exactly. And so, and first of all, I'm not perfect, but I do these things all the time. And so I do fasting, I do intermittent fasting. There's times, and we'll talk about that I don't do that. And so, and that I intentionally not fast. But then I fast almost every single day and do better. And so, for example, one of the problems I'd run into is I would eat breakfast early in the morning. So I'm an early riser. I'd eat breakfast and start my practice at 9:00. And at 10:00, I was going hypoglycemic and actually starting to go to sleep. I don't have that problem now.
No,
I'm not going hypoglycemic. And even with it, I started realizing that, hey, when I was driving long distance, or even short distances, but driving long distance, I can't eat carbs because I have a hard time staying awake.
Yeah.
And now that so I'm very careful when I do drive long distance. I'm very careful about what I eat, and my snacks are not the cookies and sweets and beverages and soda pops at all, because I will have a tendency to go hypoglycemic in an hour or two, and which is of course dangerous. And so, but the same thing in the office, I don't have that problem now. And actually, when I first noticed that was actually in church. And so I would be sitting in the pew, and I used to just start falling asleep, about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And now I have no problem with that at all. So my blood glucose levels are just like so much better and level, and not getting these ups and downs.
So there's so many. I mean, we could go into the benefits of fasting towards so many different conditions, from diabetes to, we could go with the list on and on and on. But let's focus on cancer with our podcast. Let's understand the benefits towards how your body reacts to fasting on a cellular basis, on towards your cells, and how your body's reaction to, if you do have cancerous cells, feeding them, and how your body will, how it all works in a very simplified way, how your body will react to fasting and starving itself.
Sure. So our body is made to fast, first of all.
Yes.
It is geared for that. Only in the past, maybe 1,000, 2,000 years, has there been a culture and a availability and an abundance of food. And so, but even since that time, there are certain regions of the world, it's not, there's not plentiful food. They don't have refrigerators. They are just kind of scrimping by in a way. So our body is made to fast. And so our body uses other nutrients, and it will break down nutrients in our body to provide that energy, and including fat. We think of ketosis, but our body fat is a battery in a way. Yeah. It releases the fat, and our body can burn that fat for energy. Our body can also break down the muscle in our body to provide some glycogen and some sugars. So, our bones, even our bones have minerals in them, yeah. and I definitely see that happening too. Our body will break down bones, to provide those basic nutrients that our body needs. So our body is a warehouse battery. It stores these nutrients, and our body can use that. Our body's made to, literally, if you think about literally 5,000 years ago, what did people do? They didn't wake up and open up the refrigerator and pull out the juice and drink that juice. It wasn't there. They had to go get it. They had to go make it and had to labor to get something to eat. So once you start thinking about that, it's, number one, our body is made for that.
Yeah.
And our body is not made for an abundance of food. That's when we start getting the weight gain, the diabetes, and associated, issues with that. So now cancer cells, love glucose.
Yeah.
Now they'll use the very same nutrients that the rest of our body does, but it's our body likes glucose. It's a sugar. It's an easy, quick energy. So does cancer. Cancer loves that. It's a quick, easy energy, and cancer will thrive with that. And so if we can take that away, that cancer cells are fast growing, and they require more nutrients than most of our body, like our brain and our heart are going continuously. They like that sugar, but they can adapt and burn ketones for energy.
Yes.
Cancer cells can do that, but it's really difficult. And so they actually kind of throws a kind of a cog, breaks a gear in that cog and that wheel and that process, that energy process going on in the cancer cell. They're burning up energy. Oh, there's no sugar or glucose available. Now they kind of stop for a while.
Yeah.
And try to figure that out. So that's the perfect time to try to help starve out the cancer cells. And that's where, many cancer programs over the past couple hundred years, is actually a major part of that is some fasting.
Explain when you said, break that down to us.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Like I have an understanding, just for our audience, I have more of an understanding. So you're saying it's starving out the cancer cells. So your goal is it for the cancer cells to die out? Because you're lucky talking about one cancer cell. You're dealing thousands or millions of these cells in your body. So are you looking at these cancer cells starving themselves out, or is it the healthier cells will eventually eat the cancer cell? Like, how does that work, the progress in your body?
Well, it's a combination, actually. So the cancer cells, they don't have the nutrients, and so they kind of start shriveling up and just don't do good, and maybe even become damaged because of that. Well, the body, when they starting to break down just a little bit, we get just a little bit of damage. Then it's the immune system that recognizes, oh, that's a damaged cell. It's not functioning right. It's time to get rid of it. And so the white blood cells, the various different components of that, including macrophages, they actually start gobbling those cancer cells up and eating those cells, and to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So that's part of that process. Yes, is to take away, that easy sugar. It's kind of like fermentation.
Yeah.
So cancer cells do ferment. There's a process. It's called the Warburg effect, after a doctor, Warburg, Otto Warburg, that came up with that, discovered that. And so cancer cells love that sugar, and it's kind of like fermenting, kind of like yeast, really. Yeast loves that sugar and grows and grows and grows. And then once there's no more sugar, it dies out. Well, cancer cells have a tendency to do that too, but we can't really last long enough to fast forever, because our body will break. We just can't do that, and we can't fast forever. And it's a little bit frustrating, but some cancer cells are going to adapt to that. And so, once again, cancer cells use the very same nutrients, carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, vitamins, and minerals that the rest of our body does. So we just have to be kind of interrupted from several different mechanisms, and fasting, lowering blood glucose, and other nutrients even. So proteins. So I'll just keep talking about glucose, but there's other nutrients, protein,
100%.
And other nutrients. When we're fasting, it brings everything down to a lower level. And therefore, those fast growing cells are going to slow down. They're not going to grow as fast, and or even start dying out. So their metabolism is much, much, much faster. Kind of think of that little mouse running in that wheel, just run. That's the way the cancer cell's going. And so if we can take away that nutrients, then it's going to slow down.
I want to have a little breakdown, and then I want to ask you a question. So for any of our audience that hopefully doesn't have cancer, they're looking at preventing, or they're going through the process and they want to increase their opportunity of survival, fasting is a huge component of what you need to do. And I'm just saying that. So when we're looking at fasting, a lot of people are going to think of fasting and be kind of scared or pushed away from it and think, I'm not able to do this. And I want people to understand is part of the fast is part of your sleeping. And reality is you could cut off your last meal, your dinner, and try not to snack the rest of the evening. Right there, your fast is starting. You're going to bed. Right. If you have your last meal at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and you wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, you're starting off your day in the morning, you already got a 10 to 12 hour window right there if you've already fasted. So if you could just teach yourself slowly, even if you go once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, progressively start it and eliminate your breakfast. Now you're getting already into that 15, 16 hour window where the benefits start kicking in. And it's just teaching yourself to progress into it slowly. So you would start off, say, one Monday, Wednesday, Friday, cutting out your breakfast, do that for the first week or two, and then maybe add another day. And you start, and then eventually you would realize that it's also keeping yourself busy. Because your mind starts playing with at the beginning when you're trying to do this. And if you're at work and you're busy, you're occupied with your kids, you're doing an activity, you're working out, you're busy, you don't even think about it. And your body starts, that ketones start kicking in and your energy levels start increasing. Before you realize it, you're hitting that 17, 18 hour window with ease.
Exactly. Yes. And being active is very important. And part of that active for me, even is like, well, of course, I'm sitting down at the appointment and, or maybe finished with an appointment and I'm a little bit hungry. So time to drink a little bit of
we'll talk about that.
Unsweetened beverage to also just kind of put something in the stomach. And it really does help a lot with that. So yes, I started this, just doing a few hours is literally a week.
Yeah.
And then one day a week, and not even a full day, but more like the 16-hour type of thing, not eating until noon, which is really what I do now. Usually 7 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there are exceptions to that.
So I want also people to understand is you are allowed certain beverages. You want to eliminate calories. So the idea is once you put calories into your body's digestive tract starts working, you're breaking that fast. So even a juice will break that fast. So there's certain things that Keith is doing and I'm doing right now is black coffee. So that means black coffee, no sugar, no cream, no milks, no nothing. Black coffee. Most teas should be fine.
Yes.
Especially a herbal tea. A green tea would be incredible because the energy levels. So you're looking at teas, you're looking at water, you're looking at black coffee. So these are things that you could sip on and your mind will say, hey, you're giving me something. And it kind of just retracts or eliminates that process or that thought process. I got to eat. So you're just zipping on something. That's a great way to break and it'll keep the fast going without actually breaking the fast.
Exactly. And so, sipping on that coffee or beverage definitely helps. And even, like when I'm hungry, like about 10, 11 o'clock, when I start feeling that, that's the time. Definitely. It's kind of like my little coffee break or matcha or green tea. Yeah. To be hot or cold, but also just drinking that and about a cup of a liquid, in a few minutes fills up my stomach.
100%.
Dilutes the stomach acid. That's part of that hunger thing is, we're kind of thinking about food and acid is being made and there's a physical thing going on in the stomach, getting your stomach ready to eat. And it's a little almost like irritating hunger pains. And so we can dilute some of those, stomach acids and enzymes down a little bit by drinking a beverage. And that will help get rid of some of that hunger feeling. And once again, and occupy us, but to be physically active, and mentally active.
100%. Another thing too, which I do, and I just do it as more of a health benefit. I always have a big glass of water by my bedside and I don't touch it at night. And when I wake up in the morning, as soon as my feet land on the ground, I chug it down. For one, it gets your system. It's almost, I think of it as almost a windmill. Your body automatically starts working. So your body starts functioning, but it also fills up your tummy right off the bat with fluid. And that just gets the process going of the fast. I try to not have a coffee or tea, nothing for the first hour or so, just let my body's stomach just settle down. I'm up, let my body start moving. And then roughly about an hour, hour and a half later is when I have my first tea or coffee. And that's preference. Is there any benefit to that? Could the acidity of the coffee or anything, as soon as you wake up, should you wait a bit, or is it okay to start drinking coffee or tea right off the bat?
I personally think it's, and this is my personal experience, I think it's just actually more of a personal preference.
Okay.
And so I love my coffee. But actually the first thing I do though is I drink that water.
Okay, good.
A cup of water.
Yeah.
And then also I do take some enzymes on an empty stomach. That could be another podcast, but these enzymes on an empty stomach to eat away at plaque inside the blood vessels and the cancer cells and things like that. So I take my enzymes on an empty stomach, very first thing, with water, and get that started. Then I start my coffee making. I go through that little routine, and while it's brewing, I do actually some easy type exercises and stretching and things like that while the coffee's doing that. That's just part of my routine, and I love that smell of grinding the beans. And once again, that's just that's a personal preference and what I like to do. Not everybody can do that, and not everybody can metabolize caffeine the same.
Yeah.
And so, but for me, once again, I just love that bitter taste. I love that smell. And it's been a part of my life for
100%.
60 plus years. So,
Another thing too is, I mean, maybe that's why I give that gap is I've always read and understood that, because I do probiotics in the morning. I do my probiotic first thing in the morning, empty stomach, kind of like your enzyme. And I always was told you don't want to mix your probiotic with the coffee. I don't know if there's any science behind it, but that's what I was always told. So that's why I give that hour gap in between as well, just to let those probiotics have their effect, work in your body. Then I start my coffee on the way to work or when I get to the office and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So some probiotics could be that way. Yes. And so coffee is a little bit acidic. Water is typically a little bit acidic too. And then acids have a tendency to kill some of that bacteria. And so that's the purpose of the empty stomach. So once you actually start eating and drinking, even just drinking fluids, stomach acid is going to increase, and that acid once again can kill out some bacteria. Now, some of these bacteria, some of the newer probiotics will say that they're acid resistant, and the capsule is, and you can take it with or without food.
Okay, interesting.
So some don't have to be on an empty stomach.
Okay,
you can, but some of them don't require that.
Question for you: fasting, like a supplement, like anything you do on a regular basis, your body may become almost custom or immune to it and not get the same benefits out of it. Do you believe in breaking fasting for a period of time just for your body not to get immune to them? Or I haven't, but I'm just asking your opinion on that.
I haven't really studied that, but there's a lot of theories about it, and it's definitely a possibility. I've seen people that will do intermittent fasting, and keto to lose weight, and then they had to hit a plateau, and we have to change it up to see that process start. And it's kind of weird, but sometimes we'll increase their food a little bit more, which will bump up their metabolism a little bit. But we have to be careful how to do that. It's not like they eat a ton of food, but they will definitely, start getting a little bit more energy, start burning more calories, and typically even gain more muscle, in with that type of a process. The more muscle we have, the more calories we burn. So yes, so I think changing it up is good. I don't intentionally think, okay, well, next week I'm going to go ahead and start eating breakfast, but it's going to happen, for me. And so we have family coming in this weekend, and it's going to be a totally different situation. And so, and I definitely, we probably will have breakfast, 2 days this weekend. So I'm going to break that and enjoy it, and knowing that I'm going to get right back into it on Monday. So therefore, and there's other times I will intentionally break it because fasting is more like a lower calorie type situation. So going to the gym, or for me, working, on my friend's ranch, or me going out here and digging a hole, in a fasting state may not be the best situation. And so I'll run low on energy. I will get exhausted. I'll get tired, and lose muscle mass. So that's another thing that I'm often, as a matter of fact, most of my clients I work with, we actually measure water, muscle, bone, and fat with a machine. So we know exactly what's happening through their cancer journey and what they're eating. And so, but I'll lose a lot of muscle if I don't have enough nutrients on hand to take care of that major physical activity. And exercise is one of those. So a major weight training resistance program while you're fasting, you're not going to gain muscle mass with that, and you'll lose muscle doing that.
Interesting, because on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I'll usually go to the gym in early morning with my son, and I'll work out completely in a fasting state. And I find I have more energy on the weekdays because of work. I'll go in the afternoon, but I find my energy levels, maybe it could be a combination of weekend. I get to sleep in a bit more. There's other combination factors there, but my energy levels are so high. And then I'll get home. As soon as I'm done my work, I'll get home. I'll take my stack of vitamins, wait about half an hour, and then I'll have my first meal of the day. But right through that workout, my energy levels are just like skyrocketed right through. Every weekend is like, I know I'm going to have probably my best workouts. So it's something with the ketones kicking in and energy kicking in and all that stuff like that, right? Is you almost get that super high that your body's adrenaline rush just kicks in at that point, right?
Yeah, so definitely. So just me fasting. So really about 11 o'clock in the morning, after I get through that first like stomach, kind of weird feeling and hungry kind of things happening, after that, man, I'm fine. And I can go all day without eating. And I'm actually very lean, and so are you.
Yeah.
But I can go all day without eating and do perfectly fine.
Yeah, me too.
And a 24-hour fast, after I get past the 16 hours, is easy.
It's all psychological at that point, right? Because your body starts playing that mind game, especially if you're in a household where, like, I've done it a few times. But you're in that household, and I got my kids, and they're in the kitchen, and my wife's cooking, and you're smelling the food. And
smell, yes.
So it's like psychologically, your body's like, I want to eat, but your body really doesn't need it. But it's that mind game of being able to, and be honest, it's take away the benefit physically. Mentally is also making you stronger too, being able to withstand those urges as well, right? Which is an incredible thing to train as well, as your mind being able to reflect and being able to clear out your head for that stuff, right?
And I think that's a great thought, even as that I hadn't really thought of that either. But if you can train yourself to do intermittent fasting, go without breakfast, for example, or go without dinner, either way, however you want to do that, whatever fits better into your life, that person's life. But that's part of the mental training and physical training to resist other things at other times.
Yeah.
Like walking into the movie theater and you smell that butter popcorn, which is probably just one of the worst things that we could be eating anyway, but with all those bad fats. But it's easier to resist that probably. So it's a different mindset. Like, hey, I fast. This is nothing. That's easy to do.
I love that mindset. So let's talk about one more thing before we end this subject for today. I've always eliminated breakfast. You do the same, but I have heard and read numerous scientists, doctors, people in the health industry actually talk about, there's actually studies that show there's more of a benefit to actually eliminating your dinner. And so you're going to bed with an empty stomach. So eliminating your dinner and then having your breakfast, you're still having that window, but eliminating your dinner. I won't do it because I'm home. I like enjoying sitting down with having a supper with my family. That's our time to have a meal together. But is there more of a benefit to doing that because you are going to bed with a fully empty stomach?
Yes, there is. And so part of that is, so when we eat it, I'm the same way. So my social time with my wife, and kids, when I come home, with kids, actually adult children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, it's nighttime. And that's the social time, and that's the visiting time. And yes, part of that, and definitely it's food, and that's definitely okay. But, and yes, there are studies showing at night when you eat, you have a large number of calories.
Yeah.
And so when we're sitting like right now, I'm burning 90 calories an hour. So if I had a meal with 500 calories, that's enough calories to last for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Well, and when we're laying down, probably burning less calories than that. So we're burning a few more calories just talking and moving around just a little bit. So if we eat that dinner, we're going to get plenty of calories and not have a chance to really burn it off.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be sitting after we eat, and in our culture nowadays, watching TV or reading maybe, and just not physically active. Now, but that is, number one, there's definitely is quite a bit of research starting to show that benefit. Actually, people that eat breakfast and lunch and then fast after that, and don't eat dinner or supper time, the evening meal, they actually have a tendency to lose more body fat than people that fast in the morning.
That's good.
It's because of that number of calories, definitely. And there is some science behind that. But one of the things that I recommend for my clients too, especially if there are issues that they're overweight or their blood glucose is elevated. So we'll do a finger stick with a keto mojo. If their blood glucose is too high after dinner, they're going for a walk.
I was waiting for you to finish that so I could say that.
They've got to walk.
10, 15 even a 10-15 minute stroll just to get everything moving. I was waiting for you to finish the conversation that she said that, because that's something I do.
Yeah.
That's something I do.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're done, I'll grab the dog, and even if you go around the block or 2 times, that 10-15 minutes just to get your body moving, get the digestive tract moving, it speeds up metabolism, and you might not burn all of those calories, but you're going to burn a chunk of them, because your body will, even when you get home and you sit down, your body will start doing them. And then I do my sauna at night too, before I go to bed.
Okay.
And that really I do a full stretch, and then I do a sauna. So amount of calories I'm probably burning in that with the sweat, right? So
yes,
my goal is with the walk, with the stretch, with the sauna, it's going to pretty much empty me out as much as possible. So I am going to go to bed with as much of an
empty stomach. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. And so, we'll do a similar thing. My favorite thing is after eating is to go for a little walk around our property, to look at things, everything from the horses to the plants and the garden and pick some berries or something like that. And so that's just a perfect way, for me to end the evening with my spouse. And I just love that type of a thing. So we have to be, we have to be physically, and so the same thing with other meals too. After eating is physical activity, and not exercise necessarily, but just a little bit of walking.
Just some walking. Just move your body.
That's right.
Move your body.
That's right.
That's all it is, right? That's that's the biggest battle is mentally just getting up and doing it, putting on your shoes and doing it. I think a lot of, we talk about this all the time, is the biggest hurdle for people working out or moving is just starting, just getting your feet going. It's so easy to sit down. It's so easy just to watch TV. It's easy to click on the converter. Just get your shoes on and just move. Even if it's, once you start moving, you're going to feel great, and you're going to want to probably even go longer than 5-10 minutes, but just get going to start moving. This has been awesome. Anything you want to leave towards fasting and cancer to end it off, or do you think we covered everything here?
I love the fasting, and it's a combination, kind of like fasting and a ketogenic type diet. I have what's called cancer keto in limiting quantity. I have a palm rule. So I'm very careful about how much food. And now you still, during that eating period, you have to get enough calories. You have to get enough protein. You have to get everything in. It's just in a little bit more concentrated without going overboard.
Yeah.
And so, if there's any concerns about losing muscle mass, too much body fat, you've got to seek a person to help work with you, a coach, cancer coach, nutritionist, me, whatever. So if that's what you mean by, help. And so, and there's all kinds of equipment available, and it's inexpensive to monitor how much water, muscle, bone, and fat you've got. So within a week, if you got the right program or not. And you can make one change within a week. If it's going the right way. So you don't have to just guess and worry about that. So we still have to get enough food and not starve.
I still get my lunch and dinner, and I still get 2 snacks in there. So I do my lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. So I'm still getting the calories I need because I'm very active and I'm always moving. And because of my muscle and fat and bone density, like my metabolism is skyrocketing right now. Like I just burn. So I know I need to have a certain amount of calories just to maintain what I have. So at this point, I've kind of dialed it in, and eventually anybody that's starting the fasting process, it's a learning process at the beginning, but eventually you will dial it in. So just trust the process. Trust is not going to happen overnight, but the benefits towards cancer prevention, prevailing, and beating cancer is so incredible. So if you are going through that journey, please introduce slowly fasting to your diet and then see the benefits over the long haul.
Exactly. Yes. As a matter of fact, it's all kinds of all the other diseases too.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Okay, so
100%.
Cardiovascular and diabetes, you know, and Alzheimer's, dementias. I mean, it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and matter of fact, I help clients with all of those things. It's the same thing. Exactly.
Till next week, buddy.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks.